Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. You're at home with Melissa, and I want to do this video today that I'm really glad that you've tuned into, because what I want to do is share with you basically what we're working on right now here and what we'll probably be focusing on for the next 5 days. That way you have an idea of what you might be able to expect to see. I mean, there could be changes to that, of course, depending on what happens, but since we're only looking 5 days into the future, odds are it's a pretty good idea what we'll be covering on the next 5 days. And first of all, we're going to be continuing with planting both indoors and out, creating more raised beds, creating frameworks around those, building a fence around the perimeter of the property. Also, I might get a chance to make a walkway come border around the mint bed, in which case I'll show you exactly how we're going about doing that. And the biggest, most exciting thing that we're focusing on this week, among all the other things, and the trying to keep up with the pets in the house and having to repair a broken what are they called, garbage disposal in the kitchen sink. Yeah, it broke, but it happens. In addition to those things, the really kind of exciting thing is that we're going to really get underway with working very hard on the duck room. Now, those of you who have been friends of ours for a long time, you probably are aware that the duck room is also right now being, and has been, the grow room. So right now it's basically full of seedlings in addition to all the other things that are in there. And I might also be starting to tear down a tree that's kind of behind you over there. I might be starting to take that down as well, because it's in the way of the driveway as well as where the new fence is going to go. And the driveway has to be widened, because right now to get into it you have to make an exact 90-degree turn, which you really can't. And to get out of it you would have to back into the neighbor's driveway. And that's so rude, I've just never used the driveway. So I'm just going to widen that a bit so that I can pull in at an angle, so that I can pull in and out of it without having to go onto the neighbor's property. I just can't bring myself to do that. So that's going to be coming up later, not in the next 5 days. The tree, maybe. The driveway, no. But the duck room, back to that, which we are working on in the next 5 days, hopefully. We need to get it cleaned out first, get all the rest of the things pulled out of it. The old duck ponds, we need to tear those down, and they have PVC piping used as a framework for them. If you've seen them before, if you've watched those videos that show the ducks splashing around in their little pools, those have a frame of PVC. I have a lot of PVC on hand, but those are cut to lengths that I think will be exactly what I need to create frameworks around some of the raised beds that we can then use if we need to cover them in case an unexpected frost happens, or up which we can put trellises or fencing to let peas and legumes of different kinds of things grow up them, melons, things like that. And you'll be seeing that as the season gets along. Also need to be doing a lot of digging out weeds here in the yard, and the weeds that need to be dug out are really deep rooted, really big things, and they're absolutely everywhere. So that's going to be a job in and of itself. But the duck room, back to that, I keep going away from that. We need to clean out the junk that's in the duck room, and then I feel almost like I've just been stung. And then we're going to tear out all of the inner walls, the inner ceiling, and then after that the floor comes out, the electrics come off. I was going to remove the electrics first, but I didn't. I figured it would be easy to do once they weren't behind walls and a floor, which makes sense. So at that point I'll rip out the electrics. There's a crawl space beneath the floor that'll be dug out and deepened to be a pond and for the ducks, and of course we'll reinforce the walls and things like that. And in the pond we're going to have aquatic plants as well as some fish. I have 2 different ideas for the fish. I haven't decided between them yet, but you know, this is the biggest project I've undertaken since creating this channel. So I think the fish are a long ways off yet, so I have quite a bit of time to decide between the two different ideas. And then along the wall, the only one of the four that's not mostly windows, up that wall I'm going to build a rock formation that's going to be it's going to be a waterfall with a lot of lush plants growing on it, and I'm going to plumb in kind of a filtration system that takes the dirty water from the duck pond through piping the entire way up to the attic of the house, and in the attic it will then be passed through two different preliminary filtration systems, and then we'll follow a series of grow beds using gravity to take the water down through the floors of the house to be returned in the end at the top of that waterfall, where it'll then cascade down. It'll keep that room excuse me, the plants in that room and things, it'll keep them watered. It'll keep the water clean for the ducks and the fish, and the plants for that matter, while still allowing the plants to be given their nutrients from the pond, because some of them will be getting their nutrients as the water is there, and you know, when it's freshly created from the back end of the fish and the ducks. And the ones in the grow beds will suck up the remaining nutrients from the pond to return it clean. And in fact, I'll make sure to plant the plants, try to plant it out this way anyway, planting plants with a higher nitrogen need at the beginning of the system, and the ones that require fewer nutrients will plant toward the end when the water's already been cleaned of a lot of its nutrients. And then also I'm going to waterproof that room, of course. I'm going to need to. And trying to think, and I might have, and around the edge of the pond I plan to have some bog plants, things like that. And depending on how much room I have at the outer level, at the outer ring of all of this, I might have, in addition to the places for ducks to, you know, kind of nest and things, I might also have some sort of kind of aquaponically growing bushes and shrubs, things like that. So we're going to see how that works out, how long it takes us to do, but we are starting work on it during the next 5 days, in addition to doing as much as we can out here. And so there's a lot really happening right now, and it's pretty exciting. And of course, as we continue to plant things and to do things in the garden and indoors, and as tips or hints or anything that we're doing and we're learning that's new, or anything that we think maybe some of you might be able to use to your advantage at your homes, we'll be doing videos on those. And I think that's about it. That is your rundown for the next 5 days. Now, keep in mind that of these next 5 days, for 2.5 of them, I'll be gone. So as we're talking about these big plans and a lot of things that we want to do, there's no way I'm going to be able to get through the entire list of them in this 2.5 days that we have out of the next 5. But those are the things we're working on right now that are ongoing. So the bulk of what gets done over the next 5 days will be contained within that list. So that gives you an idea, and I hope that you find it interesting. And as we go along and we upload different videos about what's happening and things like that, you know, you can always, if you have things you're doing that are related to that and you want to tell us your stories, we'd like to read them. We'd love to hear it. And if not, if you have any questions or anything that I didn't cover as in depth as you would have liked, or if you have related questions or whatever, just leave your questions, leave your comments and things, your stories in the comments underneath the videos that we do, and we'll get to them as soon as we possibly can. And I hope that in the meantime, wherever you guys are, that you're just enjoying yourself and you're learning and you're sharing what you know with the people around you, and just having a really good time with things. And thanks again for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you really, really soon. Bye for now.